Okay, so I'm being fumed, and it's making my eyes hurt. They like to do stuff like this. Remember, they're changing my voice. Let's just get right into it. So this is Job 18. Okay, I was talking about the children and the consequences for the wicked man on himself and his children. I mean, if you're confused about this series, don't forget that Job 5, Job 18, and Job 20. Right, Job has like 42 chapters in all, and these chapters kind of stick out. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff that Revelations is directly referring to in Job, right? Reveal, alpha, shun, right? What is your job? Your job is not to shun me, it's to obey God through me, right? The word deal is lead scrambled. The word live is evil spelled backwards. The word part is trap spelled backwards. Saved is divas, right? Divas, it's kind of like, Nicki Minaj and Britney Spears, but it's also the satanic divas in the various pagan mythologies who basically they aren't morally precise and full of focused moral intensity, right? They're kind of rebellious. They're like satanic feminists in many ways, and there's all kinds of occult interpretations and various interpretations of the stories we see in the various pagan mythologies, and they seem very much to have the same sort of patterns in them, right? We look at the Indian, we look at Native American, we look at Roman, Greek, Egyptian, African, you name it, where we see this kind of, there's mythologies. It's told the religions have certain elements that give away that they're connected. And what does it say in Job? It says Satan was roaming the earth, okay? And we see the signs. We see how in the West they depict Satan in certain ways, and we see those characteristics in certain gene expressions in every race in the world. And that's not a coincidence. It has to do with sex cults and fertility cults and reproductive cults and who bred with who for what job and so on and so forth. Okay, so Job 18. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, "When will you end these speeches? Be sensible, and then we can talk. Why are we regarded as cattle and considered stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself to pieces in your anger, is the earth to be abandoned for your sake? Or must the rocks be moved from their place? The lamp of a wicked man is snuffed out. The flame of his fire stops burning. The light in his tent becomes dark. The lamp besides him goes out." Right? So those who are yoked to the wicked person also lose their souls, also lose that spark of life in them, that divine spirit of God, the light of God. Okay, the light of justice, righteousness, what have you, the characteristics of God. The vigor of his step is weakened. His own schemes throw him down. His feet thrust him into a net. He wanders into its mesh. A trap seizes him by the heel. A snare holds him fast. A noose is hidden for him on the ground. A trap lies in his path. Terrors startle him on every side and dog his every step. Okay, notice they use the word dog. They dog his every step. And of course, in English, the word dog is the word God spelled backwards. And it's not a coincidence. Okay, they pester. They dog around like Michael Jackson. Just stop dogging me around. They dog you. They mad dog you. They mistreat you if you're loyal to God. And that is part of the Western cultural system. And if you think about, the lynchings and the various political events and things that have taken place in American history, for example, and in European history, Australian history, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, it's that Latin root, right? Anyway, calamity is hungry for him. Disaster is ready for him. When he falls, it eats away parts of his skin. Death's firstborn devours his limbs. He is torn from the security of his tent and marched off to the king of terrors, right? He's marched off to the king of the terrors. So if you're an American Satanist, again, it's also obviously the terrorists are Satanists too. And it says that the wicked, people like you who are outside the divine order, are marched off to the king of terrors. Right? We can interpret it as God terrorizing them. We can interpret it as the angel of death. You can interpret it as Satan. Okay, but one way or another, there's divine consequences for these people. And you're waging a war on terror. What are you doing? Okay, you're going through the motions of waging a war on God, which is Dionysian, ritual madness, theater arts, religious ecstasy, right? Wine, and so on and so forth, right? The Dionysus, the deity of these guys, the Bacchus, right? The Bacchanalia. Okay? A sort of crazy kind of ritual festival event. they used to have in Rome and Greece and so on and so forth. Okay, in its various forms and with the same deity, basically the same deity labeled in different things. Dionysus, Bacchus. It also connects to Pan, whose name means all. For all the Greco-Roman deities, all the Western gene expressions is what they're getting at, and all the mentalities, right? Government, meant meaning mind, psyche means mind. It also means soul. Okay, psychology, right? Psychiatry, psychopath, right? Psyche. This female who's taken away by mythology and the trance-like states of mythology, the psychological states of the nation, the cult of the empire, right? The Antichrist, what have you. And she is led astray, and she's gender neutral to some degree. Greeks, LGBT people, and so everyone is on some psyche kind of bitch shit if they're outside the divine. Are pretty straightforward. Okay. So verse 15, fire resides in his tent, burning sulfur is scattered over his dwelling. His roots dry up below, and his branches wither above. The memory of him perishes from the earth. He has no name in the land. He is driven from light into the realm of darkness, and is banished from the world. He has no offspring or descendants among his people, no survivor where once he lived. People of the west are appalled at his fate. Those of the east are seized with horror. Surely such is the dwelling of an evil man, such is the place of one who does not know God. Okay? So the memory of him perishes from the earth. Well, the earth is going to pass away. Heaven and earth pass away. So what are they referring to? The essence of earth, the idea of where the living live. Okay, the essence of what the living see earth is in its true form. Okay, so if you say, hey, they say, what's that sunset? They say, I don't see anything. The sun's going down, so what? You say, no, it's a beautiful sunset. Someone into psychology or something, no, with my kind of artistic theater, art, trance-like state of mind, I see a beautiful sunset. Someone who living in reality who say, yes, it is beautiful, but not for the reason that she thinks it is. And the guy who doesn't think it's special, he also doesn't see clearly, right? The eye of horse, right, versus the eye of a jackal or a mole or something that doesn't see so well, right? Nature shows us there's varying degrees of how well people pick up on things, how well they see things, seeing through things, seeing things for what they really are and not what they appear to be in the psychological construct. So again, it says fire resides in his tent, right? His family's dwelling, right? His family's spirit, his nation's spirit. Okay, burning sulfur is scattered over his dwelling, right? This is, he goes to the lake of fire, okay, and there's evidence of it, right? When we see them failing to be righteous and morally masculine, right? Moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic in its true form, not in its Roman wordplay form, right? Not Roman, trance-like states, not cult states, not mere liberal, conservative, libertarian, not mere, human rules, customs, and traditions and cultures and mentalities, but a divine and true, focused, morally intense mentality, okay? Now, again, they try to confuse us by fuming me, okay? When you know that reality is something that the focused and morally intense pick up on and other people don't, and you're dealing with a bunch of Calvin and Hobbes, kind of Dennis the Menace, kind of demonic, troublemaking American Pie, scary movie, satanic, troublemaker type of ninnies, right? Kind of heavy metal, Marilyn Manson on steroids type of lunatics, okay? Crazed nerds, satanic nerds, and what have corporate trash and what have you. What they do is they fume you. So they can say, hey, if you're so focused, why are you stumbling on your words? Because you're fuming me, you bitch. And you say, well, if focus and moral intensity is divine, how come God isn't protecting you? Because you're poisoning me covertly, and, okay, that's part of the test. If people are so dumb, when they hear my argument, they think I'm wrong, I shouldn't have to tell them I'm sabotaged. They should know by the way I'm talking, what I'm saying. They should know it's true right away. And they should know people like you sabotage me. Okay? So it is outrageous that people would even think about playing stupid about this. Okay. So again, he has no offspring or descendants. Okay, well, let's go back. His roots drop below and his branches wither above. The memory of him perishes from the earth. He has no name in the land. He is driven from light into the realm of darkness and is banished from the world. He has no offspring or descendants among his people, no survivor where once he lived. People of the west are appalled at his fate. Those of the east are seized with horror. Surely such is the dwelling of an evil man, such is the place of one who does not know God. So we're going to skip chapter 19 and go to chapter 20 because we're focusing on the children here. Okay? It said that death's firstborn devours his limbs, right? Notice it's referring to offspring. It says he has no offspring, no spiritual offspring among his people. Where? In the spiritual realm, right? He's the walking dead, right? His soul is just burning, and it's going to continue burning forever, because life is the test. Life is the most important test. And it's not some kind of test in school where you have a brief moment, of an hour test or something, and that's it. No, you're tested over a long period of time. So you're thoroughly tested. So God knows where you belong. And if you come from a long line of evil people and you die suddenly, you're going to go to where they're going. If you come from a long line of good people and you die suddenly, you're going to go to where they're going. Okay, Job 20. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, my troubled thoughts prompt me to answer because I am greatly disturbed. I hear a rebuke that dishonors me, and my understanding inspires me to reply. Surely you know how it has been from of old, ever since mankind was placed on the earth. Or, another translation, or Adam was placed on the earth. That the mirth of the wicked is brief. The joy of the godless lasts but a moment. Though the pride of the godless person reaches to the heavens and his head touches the clouds, he will perish forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him will say, where is he? There we go. That's the part I was looking for in part 1. Those who have seen him will say, where is he? You see, this is a godless fool. Okay, he's like someone who robs a bank who's laughing on the way to prison. He's like a corporate guy who robs people for a long time. Time flies by when you're having fun. He's giggling, he's having satanic sex, he's playing golf, drinking, buying things up. And one day he dies. Parable of the rich fool. Okay, it lasts only a moment. His pride reaches to the heavens, right? And just like it says in Revelation 18, and so on and so forth, said their sins, I believe it was Revelation 18, their sins are piled to the heavens. And Jesus comes back on a cloud, right? And this guy's head, they describe it as his head touching the clouds, right? It's being trampled. Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. Isaiah 66, he's being trampled, trampling the winepress, okay? He's being trampled, the winepress, Dionysus. There's connections there to the Greeks who translated the Bible. The Greek deity Dionysus. Again, it's a martial arts spirit. He's being trampled in a martial arts spirit. Think of a battlefield and think of my spirit outmaneuvering them masterfully, and I slice him open and I'm hitting him intensely right in the neck. Pow! This blade goes all the way through through his neck, crushing his spine, out through the back. Okay, this forceful spirit is striking him down, but it's striking down his spirit and soul first because they're not right with God. So even if I don't strike the flesh, God has designed the system for their spirit to be struck down by God. Me at his right hand and the collective spirit of the righteous. And there's nothing they can do about it. No plan, no insight can succeed against the Lord. Like a dream he flies away, no more to be found, banished like a vision of the night. The eye that saw him will not see him again. His place will look on him no more. His children must make amends to the poor. His own hand must give back his wealth. The youthful vigor that fills his bones will lie with him in the dust. Though evil is sweet in his mouth, and he hides it under his tongue, though he cannot bear to let it go, and lets it linger in his mouth, yet his food will turn sour in his stomach. It will become the venom of serpents within him. Right? So they think it's sweet, right? There's parallels to Revelation where they eat something. I believe it's a scroll. I have to look at it again. It's like something that tastes sweet as honeycomb that turns sour in the stomach, right? What has happened here? Okay? His food, okay, is wickedness and injustice and organized rape and so on and so forth. Okay, it turns sour in his stomach. It becomes the venom of serpents, right? The way God has designed the universe in the spiritual realm, it's going to cause him to burn in hell forever. He's drunk off the blood of the saints. It's going to turn into fire and poison and what have you inside of him. Is going to burn him forever. He will spit out the riches he swallowed. God will make his stomach vomit them up. He will suck the poisons of serpents. The fangs of an adder will kill him. He will not enjoy the streams of the rivers flowing with honey and cream. What he toiled for, he must give back uneaten. He will not enjoy the profit of his trading. So eating spiritually is like consuming righteousness and becoming one with it and enjoying it and really benefiting from it. The wicked person doesn't do that. Okay? For he oppressed the poor and left them destitute. He has seized houses he did not build. Surely he will have no respite from his craving. He cannot save himself by his treasure. Nothing is left for him to devour. His prosperity will not endure. In the midst of his plenty, distress will overtake him. The full force of misery will come upon him. When he has filled his belly, God will vent his burning anger against him and rain down his blows on him. Though he flees from an iron weapon, a bronze-tipped arrow pierces him. He pulls it out of his back, the gleaming point of his liver. Terrors will come over him. Total darkness lies in wait for his treasures. A fire unfanned will consume him and devour what is left in his tent. The heavens will expose his guilt. The earth will rise up against him. A flood will carry off his house. Rushing waters on the day of God's wrath. Such is the fate God allots the wicked. The heritage appointed for them by God, right? It's a spiritual flood. It's a flood of righteousness. When it comes into contact with wickedness, it causes them to suffer. When their acts are exposed, they suffer forever. Thank you.